If you've been building up your arsenal of photography gear and want to protect your hard-earned equipment, check out this video.
Welcome back to the Camera Bag Essentials video series. By the end of this video, you'll have a much better idea about how we use camera bags, camera straps, UV filters, and rain gear to protect all of our wedding and portrait photography equipment on jobs.
But before we jump into that, we want to introduce ourselves.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're Hunter and Sarah Photography, a professional husband and wife wedding photography team.
We're also educators, and our goal is to help photographers build strong foundations in both their businesses and their personal lives so that they can run profitable and sustainable photography businesses.
So the last couple of weeks, we covered when you might be ready to upgrade either your camera body or your prime lenses.
But this week, we're jumping into the 4 types of equipment that we use to protect our professional photography gear on wedding days, portrait sessions, and while traveling.
And just a quick disclaimer at the top of this video, we are going to be showing and talking about a lot of gear in this video. Just know that all of it is linked in the description below, as well as if you did check out the blog version of this video, at the very bottom, there's a more itemized list, as well as some prices for reference. So just know anything we mention, there is an option to buy it at the bottom in the description. So yeah, check all that out. But
all right, so the first type of equipment that we use to protect our gear is the camera bag itself.
So it probably goes without saying that the primary use of any camera bag is really just to get all of your camera equipment from point A to point B and to protect it.
So when it comes to buying the right camera bag for you and your business, there are really just 2 main things that you want to consider, which are the size and the type.
So when it comes to size, you really just want to make sure that the bag is big enough to hold all of the gear that you might need on any given job. So portrait photographer who only owns like 1 camera body, 1 or 2 lenses, then a small bag with room for those 2 or 3 items is like probably all you need, plus maybe a little extra space for, an extra battery or an extra memory card.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you're a wedding photographer with multiple camera bodies, a handful of lenses, a couple flashes, etc., then you're obviously going to need a much bigger bag.
And don't forget, as you are investing, especially if you're buying a nicer camera bag, don't forget to think about lenses that you might be buying in the near future, because the last thing you want to do is invest in an expensive camera bag only to buy a new lens in 2 months and all of a sudden not have enough room to store all your gear.
Yeah. The second thing to consider when buying a camera bag is the type of bag. Now, we've seen a lot of different camera bag types throughout the years, but most of them kind of fit into one of these 5 categories.
So the first type of camera bag is kind of a basic or beginner camera bag. This is the kind you might get for free when you buy your camera, or you might spend, 30 or 40 bucks from a brand like Amazon Basics.
Yeah. These usually have enough room for 1 camera body and a lens, maybe 1 or 2 additional lenses. They are simple, they're small, and they get the job done for cheap.
Now, the second type of camera bag that we've seen are what we call the adventure or photojournalist camera bags. These are usually meant for photographers who either, go on these long epic hikes to the top of mountains for elopements or portrait sessions, or for photojournalists who are just hitting the beat all day long on their feet and never, either for safety or just because they're always running around, never set their bags down.
Yeah, so these types of bags prioritize being lightweight and having your main camera body accessible without putting down the bag. They're more discreet and they usually just look like a hiking bag or even just a regular book bag in order to discourage theft.
The third kind of bag, and this is the type of bag that Sarah and I have, we call the frequent flyer camera bag. So they're made to hold a lot of gear, are well padded to protect that gear well, and they often are made specifically to meet certain criteria, like they fit the size under an airplane seat or in an overhead compartment. Also, some of them, like some of the ones that we have built-in features like, a TSA lock that's attached to the bag, or we've even seen ones that have wheels, so they function just like a roller bag carry-on. But they definitely prioritize function over form. They're not the prettiest bags, and they always have to be laid down flat on their backs and opened from the top. So also not a very easy to access feature.
Yeah, the 4th type of bag that we've seen are the more fashionable camera bags designed to look more like a purse or like a messenger bag. These prioritize looking good over other features, but they can be a great option if you don't have a ton of gear and you don't need to carry it for very long.
And the final type of bag is what we call a hard shell bag, like the ones from Pelican Gear. Now, they're overkill for most portrait and wedding photographers. However, if you do fly frequently and have too much gear to carry on, and therefore have to check some of your camera gear, this is definitely the next best option. And another reason someone might use a hard shell case is if, for example, you have tons of studio equipment that's really big and bulky and you travel with it all the time, like if you do on-site studio work, in which case these can also be helpful for just loading in and out of cars more easily.
Yeah, personally, we care more about safely storing a large amount of gear than we do about looks. So we fly pretty often for work, and this is the reason why we each have a bag in the frequent flyer category.
So these bags are from Think Tank, which is our favorite camera bag brand. And between these two bags, we can fit all of the camera equipment you see here. So that's 5 camera bodies, 10 lenses, 4 flashes, plus a ton of smaller items like batteries, film, memory cards, transmitters, cleaning equipment, all sorts of stuff, all fits into just these 2 bags.
Yeah, and both of our bags are considered carry-on items by most major US airlines, meaning that our camera gear never leaves our sight. So we just can't handle the thought, of arriving at our destination a couple days before our wedding and then learning that our airline either lost or even broke all of our camera gear. So we just keep it on us at all times.
Yeah. If they try to make us check the bags at the gate, I'm like, nope, that's okay. And then we just walk on the plane. But the next kind of major category of equipment that we use to protect our camera gear are UV lenses. So these are the small glass filters that attach to the very front of your lens. You can kind of maybe just see it on Sarah's 50mm here. And in theory, they don't really affect the way that your images look all that much, but they do potentially protect your lens from scratches or maybe something kind of getting on that front of your lens. And in theory, they could even protect your lens from breaking if you drop it.
Now, UV filters can be controversial because in theory, anytime you add a piece of glass that isn't native to the lens, you negatively impact your image quality. But a nice UV filter will make practically unrecognizable changes, and many photographers agree that they're worth keeping on your lenses.
So actually early on in our business, I was swapping lenses on my camera during a headshot, and I actually dropped our 35mm lens from my chest height onto concrete. So of course I was sure that the lens was broken. I picked it up, the UV filter had completely shattered, but the lens itself was fine. So I unscrewed what was left of the filter, popped it back on my camera, and it worked completely fine. So of course, I don't know for sure that if I hadn't had the UV filter, maybe the lens still would have been fine. But ever since that experience, we have always put UV filters on lenses the day we buy them. We literally will not take a lens out and shoot until we've got a UV filter on the front.
It's also really nice because if your lens gets sprayed with champagne or if it gets wet from rain, you can just clean the filter instead of the front element of the lens. Every time you clean a lens, you run the risk of permanently scratching or damaging it. So if you damage a filter, you can just throw it away, get another.
So we have heard as a general rule that you should spend close to 10% of a lens's cost on the UV filter itself. So if you have a $350 lens, you should be looking for a filter in the $20 to $40 range. Whereas if you have a $2,000 lens, you should be buying a nicer, more expensive UV filter. You could spend up to $200 and be getting kind of a more comparable filter.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be exact, but putting a $200 filter on a $200 lens is definitely overkill. But putting a $30 UV filter on a $2,000 lens could definitely begin to negatively impact the quality of your images. So no matter what, we buy all of our UV gears through Breakthrough Photography since they come with a 25-year guarantee.
Link below, you get it by now. But the third major type of equipment that we use to protect all of our photography gear is rain gear.
Yeah, while no one wants rain on a wedding day, you do need to be prepared for it. Even if you live out in the desert in Arizona, there are still days where it can just downpour all day long and you need to be prepared.
So we use what's called storm jacket rain covers. So as you can see, this is basically like a raincoat for your camera. It cinches onto the front of your lens just behind your lens hood. And then in the back, you can either leave it a little bit looser like this, or you can cinch it to reveal the viewfinder or the LCD screen. But at the end of the day, it allows you to still use all the functions of your camera while protecting it from rain. And it even has, for larger lenses, it has a Velcro here on the side that you can open up, stick your hand in, and therefore still turn the focus and zoom dials on longer lenses. But at the end of the day, you can shoot in a full downpour and keep your lens and your camera protected from getting wet.
Yeah, so Hunter typically shoots with 2 cameras. I typically shoot with 1 camera. So we always have 3 storm jackets in our camera bag. And we have, a larger one for our longer lens and a smaller one for our prime lenses.
And in addition to the storm jacket covers, we also just keep our personal raincoats in our trunk at all times. Every time we go to a wedding, we have them with us, as well as just a ton of clear umbrellas. So sometimes we will give kind of the more cute umbrellas to our actual clients or their wedding party or their family. And sometimes we just carry them ourselves in addition to our rain flies if it's really coming down hard. And sometimes we do both. It really just depends on how the wind and the rain are on any particular day.
Yeah, one time we shot a micro wedding during a literal hurricane with no rain sight, backup plan. So the fact that we were able to just stand directly in the rain and keep shooting made the day actually possible while still capturing the type of natural light imagery that our clients expect from us.
Yeah. And the fourth and final main category of equipment that we use to protect our camera gear are the actual camera straps or harnesses that attach our cameras to our bodies.
Yeah, if you've been shooting for more than a few months, you've probably noticed that the neck strap that comes with your camera is extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, early in our career, we tried to solve that problem using single shoulder straps like you can see in the images here.
Yeah, these straps are fine if you only have one camera and you don't shoot for more than an hour or so, but it didn't take us long to realize that these were absolutely killing our shoulders on those 8 to 10 hour wedding days.
So, thus introduce the dual harness camera strap. So, these are camera straps that they're made to hold two cameras, but honestly, so obviously you need one if you are shooting with two cameras, but even if you only shoot with one camera, just having the weight of a single camera distributed across both of your shoulders as opposed to just one shoulder is just going to prevent them from digging into your shoulders. Yep. So Sarah and I both wear straps like these, even though she usually just shoots with one camera.
Yeah. Holdfast Gear made this style of camera strap famous, but when we first started shooting, we couldn't really afford to buy two camera straps for $250 each.
They're expensive.
So we found a $70 version on Amazon, and we just expected to use that for a little while before upgrading to Holdfast. But here we are, 4 years later, still using that $70 Amazon strap.
To be honest, I bought a second one because I wanted one in black and one in brown because I'm like that. But another just, I don't know, this is maybe anecdotal, but all of our apprentices and students who we've recommended these straps to agree that weirdly enough, people seem to treat you more professionally when you're wearing a leather dual harness strap as opposed to like a neck strap. We don't know why, but that just seems to be the case with like everyone we've talked to.
Yeah, but no matter what you get, make sure that you secure the strap well to your camera and preferably have a backup connection point in case the primary connection point becomes unscrewed or breaks.
So this will usually attach to a D-ring on the bottom of your camera, which is kind of using the tripod mount. And then this is just like a backup on the side. And this is a really important point. I once disconnected my camera from the main connection point so I could lift it up, higher than this. I was lifting it up over my head. And then I did what I had done 1,000 times before, which was just let it fall to my side while I went to grab my other camera. And if this tiny little hook had not been attached to the side of my camera, I would have basically spiked a $2,000 camera with a $2,000 lens into the ground from my head height in the middle of a wedding day, which, needless to say, would not have been good. Luckily, had the second backup, so it was totally fine. Yeah, Sarah doesn't like when I tell that story.
Speaking of spiking your camera into the ground, the final caveat to this blog is that this blog is all about, the physical equipment that we use to protect your photography gear. But at the end of the day, insuring your gear is actually one of the best ways to protect it.
However, gear insurance, as well as the other type of insurance that most photographers need but forget about, is going to be covered in a totally separate video series. So for now, we just wanted to talk about the physical gear that we use to protect our cameras.
But all right, guys, that's it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Our hope is that this video has helped you understand how to better spend your hard-earned photography dollars and then how to better protect that investment.
Yeah. If you want more helpful free content for photographers, as well as a community of people who are also building their photography businesses, we'd encourage you to join our Facebook community, Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz with Hunter and Sarah.
We posted a poll this past weekend in that community all about, guys, what do you want us to teach next? Next week is going to be the final video in this series, so if you want to say in what our future content is about, then go ahead and join that community and vote in that poll.
If you are ready to purchase a camera bag, a UV filter, a rain gear, or a camera strap, we'd be honored if you would consider using our affiliate link below, in the description below. You pay the same price you normally would on Amazon. We just get a small cut as a thank you for making this video.
And finally, if you want an even deeper dive into all of this protective equipment, as well as a longer written out priced list of all of the things that we recommend, then go ahead and click the link to the Hunter and Sarah Photography blog. It is also in the bottom of the description.
But thanks, guys. See you next week.
See you next week.